About the effect of the new red tape on logistics. Well, joining me now is Shane Brennan. He's Chief Executive of the Cold Chain Federation. That's the trade body, of course, that represents the UK temperature-controlled storage and distribution industry. Shane, morning to you. Is it too early to say what sort of impact you've seen so far?
It's very, very quiet so far. This is always a quiet week, and also businesses knowing that they've got these changes are probably holding off from the first few days to see how things are settling down before they start trading. I expect trade to start to ramp up at the weekend, and then we'll see the real effects over the next 2 or 3 weeks to the end of January.
You've said, I think, previously that some 70% of specialty food products may be affected by all of this bureaucracy. What sort of products are we talking about?
We're talking about the sorts of goods that are high frequency but low volume. So specialist delicatessen foods, meats, cheeses, certain ingredients that go into products. These are sorts of products that you don't order a whole lorry load, you only order a pallet or 2 pallets. You do that on overnight delivery. That sort of trade becomes incredibly difficult when you've got a big trade barrier. As we've had experience of going out of the UK into the EU over the last year, we're now going to start to see coming into effect from the first for goods coming from the EU to us.
And what have you been hearing from European firms sending produce into the UK? This is a lot of hassle for them as well, I guess.
This is the key question. This is the first time that Brexit impacts on businesses selling to us. And and one of the things about that is that we are very aware of Brexit here in the UK. We talk about it non-stop, or we used to. European businesses haven't talked about it as much, so they just don't have the same awareness. And whilst we've done a lot of work to try and make sure they're aware, we don't know, and it's a real X factor. It's how many businesses are going to suddenly realise in the coming days that they've got to do all this additional paperwork, these additional delays and inflexibilities. And some of them will cope with that and come up to speed. Others will decide actually that there's not enough value in that trade, and they'll stop trading in the UK.
So you do worry that this might lead to shortages of some goods then?
Less choice. Shortages is a motive term. I don't expect there to be any shortage on the shelf. We're working very hard to ensure our supply chains are resilient. And over the last 2 years, we've proved that we can do that. The question is whether some choice of products, some very specific niche products, they may no longer be market cost effective to buy or sell or supply into the UK. So there will be some limited choices and range. But this is all about supply chain reorganization. This is about a generational shift in how we've done things before. Things have to be different now in the future. And that's sort of the reality of the new trading environment in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point you mentioned that. I mean, the last couple of years have shown the excellence of supply chains in this country, particularly with the supermarket businesses. I mean, surely they'll find a way through all this hassle, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They've been working very, very hard to be prepared. Obviously, it's another pressure on all the other pressures they've got. And it is going to be a very difficult first half of 2022 for businesses across supply chains. It's not just because of Brexit, it's because of the pandemic, it's because of global supply chain problems. But fundamentally, what we are proving is that people, the professionals we have, are up to the task, and they will do what they can, even if it does cost us more.
Shane, do you think this will represent an opportunity for domestic suppliers here in the UK if some European suppliers decide it's not worth the candle anymore?
There are certainly those that argue that, and I think there will be the case. That will be the case in some instances, and that's a good thing. But of course, we can't get everything. There are certain products you just can't grow or produce in the UK, and therefore those are the sorts of products that will see cost inflation and some degree of limited choice.
In the meantime, Shane, while we've got you, how are you coping with all these staff shortages right now? Is that affecting the industry?
It's probably they're probably more worried about that today than they are about the Brexit changes. It certainly was very difficult in those last 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas. We've had a little bit of a lull, obviously, between Christmas and New Year, and we're now going to sort of regroup this week about how we're going to see ourselves reorganising our supply chains, getting ourselves back into good shape to be able to trade through the first half of this year.
But no justification at all for panic buying?
Don't use the P word, Ian. There is no need for anyone to worry about resilience. We've shown at every stage over the last 2 years that we can cope with our supply chains. Consumers need to work with us to ensure that they understand they buy what they need, because it will be there for you. If it's not there immediately today, it will be there tomorrow. So please bear with us.
All right, Shane, good to talk to you again. Thanks for joining me.